We still got circles? 8.
Jack, we live?
Yep, we're live.
Woohoo! We're live.
Hello and welcome to the Hawk Podcast. I'm Dennis Ravel and my partner in crime is Jack Young. And we are two fed up Americans. And we're also the creators of this podcast.
Oh, did you just call us fat Americans?
That's what I thought he said.
We're fat too. But we are fed up.
Fed up and fat.
We're the creators of this podcast. And time has come to be hawks in a country full of political asses and elephants. Please stand for a Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. See that, folks? Where'd it take you? 10 seconds to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge your allegiance to the United States.
So the show is available live, 5:30 Eastern Time, on your favorite podcast channel and on our Facebook group, The Hawk Podcast. So please join us. We would love to hear from people out there like you to see how fed up you are with all these tyrannical clowns we call politicians. Jack, what's on the agenda for tonight?
I'm going to talk about Trump's second indictment now, the federal one. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this Durham report in little sections. I'm going to do the initial starting of Crossfire Hurricane and the text messages from Strzok and Lisa Page.
Okay.
So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to just do a little bit at a time like that as it calls for, because it is infuriating.
Yeah, it's crazy out there.
It is infuriating.
So as the world gets crazier and the scandals pile up for Biden and Trump, the only ones that are losing are we the people of America.
Yeah.
Democrats and their witch hunt going after a political opponent, Trump, and Republicans digging up bribery schemes, also going after a political opponent, Biden.
I think he's a crook, though.
I'm not saying that. Yes, folks, the deep state is that corrupt. That truth cannot be told anymore because of the damage it would cause to the United States and also the Democrat and Republican parties. There'd be way too much damage. Politics has lost not only its professionalism and integrity, but it's lost the American public. We do not trust our politicians or local, state, or federal government. I know I have. I do know this. Our elected clowns spend more tax money that is rightfully ours on trying to figure out all these scandals in the millions. In the millions.
Tens of millions.
They spend our money like it grows in a garden. The only thing wrong is they don't water it anymore. And sooner or later, the money tree is going to dry up and die. Politicians could care less how much of our money they spend, since each party tries to smear a campaign the other. And the news media, they're just as bad because they refuse to investigate any of these scandals. So they're doing a disservice to we the people. Mainstream media outlets such as Fox, CNN, MSNBC, and ones I didn't mention, there's quite a few of them, as well as politicians in each party they represent, should hang their heads in shame for gaslighting we the people. I don't believe that politicians really care about finding what the truth is if it helps their own candidate win. That's all that matters to them. The more we, the politicians and MSN, show people that the other party sucks, people believe in it. They vote for their people. They have achieved their job. That's all it's about. Gaslighting. And we the people just sit at home and bitch, moan, and complain about what is happening to this country, but refuse to act. It's happening right in front of us. Most of us sit on our asses and do nothing. We need to be ashamed of ourselves. That's exactly how I feel. Republican and Democrat politicians are taking away our freedoms very slowly.
Not so slow anymore.
And most of you don't even see it. Even Biden recently said there should be censorship during the 2024 general election. He's taking away our freedoms of speech. And again, most of you do nothing. You sit at home, continue to be brainwashed. and agree with everything these politicians say and do and listen to mainstream media. What's it going to take for you to wake up and see with our own eyes, with your own eyes, that our country and the people that live in it are being screwed every day? What has the Democratic Party done for the black community? What has they done for the white community? What have they done for the Asian community? I see nothing. Most people still living in poverty are below the poverty level.
More people are now.
More people. You know, I would love to hear some people in the black community, have them join the show and tell us firsthand what these Democrats have done to help them over the past 25 years to improve their lifestyles. Their rich friends keep getting richer. Bill Gates, George Soros, he just handed his fortune down to his son to take over the reins. He's a lot more worse.
He's visited Biden's White House, I forget how many times.
You know?
George Soros' son.
And let me ask this to our friends in the black community. Are you not tired of being called a minority? That word should infuriate you as much as racial tones. You're an equal. You should be treated as an equal. The Declaration of Independence doesn't say anything about black or white. It says the people. It doesn't say minority. You should be pissed. What has the Republican Party done to help the middle-class Americans to improve our quality of life? Black, white, Asian, doesn't matter, male or female. I don't really see anything. Most people still live in paycheck to paycheck. I would also love to hear from you. Our friends in the white community, Asian community, upper black community, and tell us how your lives have improved over the last 25 years to improve your lifestyles. I bet you it hasn't been this good since Ronald Reagan. This bad, excuse me. The rich keep getting richer. The poor keep getting poorer. And our tyrants in elected office are getting the last laugh on us. We the people are tired and had enough of the division from politicians. Division only leads to sectionalism. And that leads us to secession from the whole of the Union. Just like the northern part of Oregon is trying to currently achieve. 12 counties are trying to become a part of Idaho because of their political differences with Oregon. What happens next if they achieve secession? Do counties in other states try to do the same? Eventually lead to chaos across the country. Northern California wants to get away from liberalism. They want to get away from Southern California. They want to get away from Newsom. Upstate New York wants to get away from New York City and Hochul and their politics down there. Eventually another civil war could happen, and most likely will happen. And many lives will be lost over politics. Is losing life worth it when we can stop it now? We must get proactive to make that a reality, to make that happen. Mike, you want to add anything to that?
I agree with you. It's up to us. You gotta do something.
Jack, you want to add anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, for the people in Oregon, why do you think that they're leaving Oregon to try to get to Idaho? Right? So obviously there's a failed system in the state of Oregon. Because the founding fathers figured it out nationwide, and that's why there's the college electorate vote. Because they knew that there was going to be certain parts of the country that are more populated than the other. And eventually what happens is those places have such a larger number, it sways the whole nation then. Now everybody's doing the bidding for these larger neighborhoods, these larger states that have a larger population. So how did they fix it? They put the college electorate in there. And so the amount of work that the people in Oregon are putting into to try and get over to Idaho, maybe they should have put it into their own state to change their constitution of that state, and maybe start adding a college electorate sort of thing. So your rural areas of Oregon start counting as much as Portland and these cities that they have. you know, when you start thinking of that way, and that's what this group is all about. You know, we're starting a minor party, and we're going to try and get here in South Carolina, not to divide this country, but bring people back together again of your state constitution and the United States Constitution. Maybe if the people of Oregon understood that their state constitution and started working towards that way and bringing more people from Oregon together instead of trying to separate them. But, like Dennis says all the time with these politicians, their power is in separation. So if you continue to elect these people that feel that their only power is to separate us, then you're never going to win. Because it's only a matter of time before Idaho changes, Northern California. I mean, look at these states are losing all kinds of people going out of there, and they're bringing their political belief with them and turning red states into purple. You know, when it starts changing that way, these red states are going to move to the blue states turning purple. And, you know, now it's just more division on the state level instead of the national level. So maybe we should start thinking about doing stuff like that. You know, the Founding Fathers were not far off on all of their findings and discoveries of how to govern people. And maybe start bringing it down to a smaller level where these states maybe should start thinking about that. Me and Dennis always hop on. Being a Democrat or being a Republican should have to work just as hard as a minor party or an independent to get on the ballot. Everybody should have to work the same way to get on these ballots. Everybody's vote should count the same. So if you're getting such a drastic count change inside your state, where there's a good portion of your state that doesn't count for anything because there's not enough people to keep up with the cities, well, then you need to change your state constitution. And that brings the state back together again.
So after Jack gets done with his, what he wants to talk about here, can you get into Trump and the Durham report a little bit?
Well, I was just going to do Trump and do Durham unless you want me to do both at the
So
same
we have time to do Durham, but he's going to get into Trump. So after he's done, I'm going to show you a way how we can stop the madness here in America that's been created by our tyrannical politicians. Jack?
All right, so we're going to look at this Trump thing, and I just wanted to point out a few things with it. So let's review this with the Trump case in the federal level. So to begin with, there have been plenty of other presidents in place of classified documents, including President Clinton, who actually had to go to court to try his case. And the judge said, I don't even know why you're here. You know, you're able to change classification. I don't know why you're here. But he wasn't the only one. You know, Obama, Bush, they all have classified documents, and I believe to this day they have it. And a lot of those classified documents are in their libraries. So it's still theirs. It's their library. The government doesn't run their library. Their people run their library. So they still have it. But the problem is now we have 2 vice presidents that got caught with classified documents, and they're not allowed to have them, and they're not allowed to change classifications. So wrong is wrong. President Biden has gotten caught with documents, classified documents from when he was a senator and when he was vice president. Vice President Pence got caught with classified documents as vice president. You're not allowed to have these as a vice president. So, and nothing's being said with them. So these 2 vice presidents, they're skipping down the road, no problem. Biden's is still under investigation by his own Department of Justice, so you know where that's going to go. And Vice President Pence they've already dropped his. No charges. Goodbye. Nothing to see here. So the reason why there's a big problem with this Trump indictment is it's called an act. It was a law they passed. It's called the President's Records Act. And the reason why they did that, they passed the President's Records Act. They call it the PRA. And the reason why they did that was because all the presidents are getting caught with classified documents that they're allowed to change. So they said, listen, we're going to make this the PRA, And this supersedes every law on the books, including this espionage law that they indicted him on. This is the big one that the prosecutors have, is this espionage. So this PRA is supposed to outweigh that. So in layman's terms, so if you have a misdemeanor and you have a felony, the felony is obviously a stronger, higher charge than a misdemeanor. Well, so goes the laws. So this Presidential Records Act is a higher, stronger law than the espionage law. This comes first. So this PRA is to get rid of the espionage. I mean, if you have a president that has classified information and he's on the internet selling it to okay, that's different. That's actually, that's espionage. Him just having it in his possession is not espionage. So it's not supposed to be a criminal case. It's supposed to be a civil matter. And again, Biden was on TV saying, "Don't worry, don't worry. We're going to make sure that this man's not allowed to run for office again," meaning this upcoming election of 2024. So we have a president of the United States that is looking to put his closest adversary that's running against him in jail. And so let's say it happens. Let's say he gets found guilty and he's going to get sentenced. First off, number one, there's no place in the Constitution that says that he cannot run for president while he's in jail. There's no place in the Constitution that says he's not allowed to be president while he's in jail. So there you have it. There's that. That's number one. Number two, if this does happen for Trump and he ends up getting convicted on it, and now let's say the next person is DeSantis, what are they going to do to him? Is it going to continue? Is it going to keep on continuing to keep going this way until they get somebody that's political, like we have with these two parties? They're one big giant party. I mean, 20 Republicans voted with the Democrats not to censor Adam Schiff. So, I'm going to look into that for next week's show. I want to see who these 20 Republicans are. How do you, as a representative, have this man cost us over $30 million investigating a man on a lie that he was on TV every day lying about? Had nothing. The Durham report literally states how he is completely wrong on this whole thing. And then 20 Republicans say, nah, we're not going to censor him. Because if they censored him, it would have costed him $16 million in fines. But he gets away with it. Mm-hmm. And Lindsey Graham from South Carolina said there's no reason to impeach Biden. Which, on the face of it, he's right. Because, first off, you got 20 Republicans that didn't do shit. All right? They didn't censor shit. And so, they only got a handful of differences. But the Senate's never going to go. Now, they have 17 alleged recordings of Biden family on record accepting brides from Ukraine. And of the 17, 2 of them have Biden's voice on it, accepting this. The other 15 are his son. So if that comes true, does that make a difference? Does that sway the Democratic Party now? The Democratic Party doesn't really want Biden to run or Kamala. They just can't find somebody. I tell you the truth, not that it matters who's going to run as president for the Democratic Party, because they're not running the government anyway. No. It's the George Soroses and
Bill Gates.
These crazy one world order people are running this government right now. But what do you think happens in Washington, D.C. if these records come out and it's true? There's got to be some kind of validity to it, because the FBI is running scared and doesn't want to show them anything. If it was no big deal, it'd have been out a long time ago. But it's not.
Just let it out. Show the people.
Yep.
FBI is saying they can't. They won't.
You want to prove that you're innocent? Release them.
Well, that's what the senator is saying. You want to prove that there's nothing wrong. The American people have a right to see these documents.
Well, here's the thing. I had somebody ask me, and they said, Jack, do you feel that the 2020 election was stolen, taken away? So I said to them, like me and Dennis have been saying the whole time, we have no idea. We don't have any sources. We don't have any possible way of viewing any kind of documents that were there. It's just two guys. See what but here's the thing. This is what I said. We will never know. Because on January 6th, if the event didn't happen on January 6th, and we left it to our elected officials to do what they're supposed to do and look into these numbers and come up with you. Now, it was very simple because Dennis saw, according to this election, 100% of the people eligible to vote voted. That's never happened in the history of the United States. So just that number alone should have said, let's just take a peek. All right? But so why didn't they take a peek? Republicans and Democrats, why would they not take a peek at that? Just to be like, scratch an itch.
They want Trump out.
It's not even that.
They're not in charge.
I don't feel. The problem is if they opened up that and it turned out to be true, they do not have the work ethic. You know how much heavy lifting and hard work it would have took to right that wrong of a bad election of 2020 for the nation? They don't have it in them to do the right thing. Because if they have to do the right thing, they have to work day and night to get it done the right way. And I tell you the truth, they can't do that, number one, because they don't work hard. If you could be 88 years old and have dementia and still do this job, it's not a hard job. If you could be as old as Chuck Schumer and Mitch McConnell and all of these other, Nancy Pelosi, if you could be that old and still do this job, it's not a hard job. All right? You're not doing a lot of hard work. So they can't do that job, number one. And number two, every single one of them and their staff has their hand in that cookie jar.
Well, that's it, exactly. They can't look too hard because everybody's going to know about them.
Yeah.
What about this guy, though, that you said that the 20 Republicans voted not to investigate?
Well, it wasn't investigated. They went in Central.
Like I stated earlier, Mike, the corruption is so deep, finding out the truth now would destroy America.
Yeah. Well, that influenced the election.
It absolutely did. Well, this Durham report with these two FBI agents, under the orders of their superiors, like we said last week, changed American history forever. And the reason why it changed American history forever is because since 2016, they've been conducting these elections the same corrupt, penalizing way. People are getting destroyed if they dare have the cojones to go run for office.
Yeah.
Not allowed to do it. And if you do it, and that's what Banana Republic countries do.
Well, they're not even hiding it now.
No.
They're doing it right in front of our faces and almost mocking us. Like, do something. Go ahead. Try to stop us.
Well, that's the thing. You know, I don't know why too, Mike. You know why they're able to do this so blatantly in front of us? They have the press in front of us, in their pocket, so the press is working for them.
Right.
And the Department of Justice is not blind justice anymore.
No.
Well, they're blind, okay?
Well,
Blind to justice.
right.
Plus, the education
Right.
is teaching our kids that this is right.
Well, you
There's
know,
nothing
that's Sal
wrong.
Alinsky's. That's one of the tenets. Education, healthcare, economy,
Religion.
religion, judicial system, the press.
They got them. And they have the food now, too,
Yeah, so.
to feed a
I
nation.
can't believe people don't see this.
Well, you know, I think people see it,
I don't.
but I don't think they know what to do about it. And you know exactly what we just talked about tonight. Dennis did a quick list for this run for campaign that we're going to do for South Carolina. And here's
That's Jack running for office.
I think the biggest thing that Dennis brought to the table on this was we need to reach out to other minor parties. Because if I'm running under the Independent Constitutional Party in District 106 for state legislator, I have nothing to do with somebody 3 hours away in Bennettsville. All right? So if you have a small group over there, I'm not going to run over there. But if we tie ourselves together and you help me get signatures
To
over
get
there,
on-
that part of the
To
state.
get on an independent constitutional party, to get a ballot party access, you need signatures across the state.
Yeah.
And these other parties, I'm going to get into that in a minute. I'm
Right.
going to get
Well,
into
then
all third parties here. Not third parties, we're calling minor parties.
Right. So go ahead.
You sure? Anything else on Trump?
Well, I think there should be a level playing field. It should be difficult for anyone to run for office.
Well, I tell you the truth. If
They
like
have
what
to
Dennis
put a
is
little
about to
work
get
in.
into, if you start coalescing these small minor parties together to get things done statewide, and then you can run on your own later, and if you get big enough to hit my area and I get big enough to hit, we're going to have honest debates. But if something like that was done in Oregon, would they be trying to go to Idaho?
Nope.
No,
They wouldn't.
no, they wouldn't
Because the same amount of work is going into Senate. So do you think that breaking off of this state and going into this state is going to be more successful than you changing your own state constitution? I don't think so.
No.
And it just divided it. So now when you come into Idaho, the original people from Idaho don't want you here.
Yep.
So that state's not together. So Oregon's broken up. Idaho's broken up. Idaho's going to be mad at their local politicians. Why'd you allow this to happen? We don't want these people here. We're doing fine ourselves. We're doing so good that they want to be part of us. No, we don't want this. So join together and make your home state where you want to live
Better.
suit you. It's your state, not
better.
these politicians. It's not their state. They're working for
They
you.
think it's their state, but it is.
Go ahead, Dennis.
So let me show everyone how we can accomplish success and win back this country. Because there was an article out a few weeks ago. Half the nation stated they will vote for a third party candidate.
49%.
49%.
And it's going to get bigger.
Oh yeah, it will. But we're not going to talk about third parties because third parties don't have a chance in America because of the way the moniker, the whatever that word is. You know, stereotype.
Right.
You know, I've said
Third
this
parties
before.
are considered screwballs.
Right. So minor parties aren't.
They don't even know what it is.
That's right. And I've said this before, creating a movement takes one idea where the ball gets rolling. I believe this would work if people would just stop listening to politicians, the mainstream media, listen closely to what we're saying today, and believe it can and will work. Because there's so many parties out there we'll get to in a minute. So I did some research on Facebook. I looked at some of my groups up that I'm associated with. All sorts of minor parties out there. You have the American Independent Party, the People's Party, the Independent American Party, the Alliance Party, the Constitution Party of Louisiana, the People's Freedom Party, the American Political Party, the Independence Party, a People's Party, AOA, ANC, Independent Party for We the People. We have ours, the Independent Constitutional Party, right here in South Carolina. We're starting. And there's several others. These parties are in several states. They're all trying to get registered as a political party or trying to survive as one. There's minor differences. Everybody has their own platforms, a little different here and there. When you all get down to it, they're basically the same. But having a different platform, that's all right. Because America is about difference of opinion. And that is what makes America great. Different ideas and opinions. The time for a strong minor party is here and now. There's never been a better time in America for this to happen. People have lost faith in both parties. And we need a big change to put our country, to take it out of neutral and move forward again, because right now we're stuck in a roadblock, and these current political parties will not change course for the better. All minor parties must help each other in each state to get ballot access, and then unite under a common barrier, a Stand United Network or a United Minor Party of America network. It doesn't matter what it's called, just all of us under one umbrella, like the Travelers. How many companies do Travelers have underneath their umbrella? Tons. You know, you can keep your same name as your minor party, but come together and unite people under one umbrella. Where we start a Facebook Stand United Network, and everybody, all these groups get under that. So you have access to hundreds of thousands of people. You just need to unite under one umbrella. Like I said, still align yourself with that minor party. However, now we can have more team members with other minor party in the mix. United in a huge network of minor parties. They now have a place to get the word out, not only to their individual members, but everyone in this network. Then we can find quality candidates for office, and each minor party will have the opportunity to help get that minor party elected a candidate on the ballot to get him elected. And a possibility to have them on their own ballot as well. So I'm saying, if the Alliance Party has a person up and we find out they're the best candidate for the position, well, the Independent Constitution Party, we can back him up. And now we can have access in every state. Because everyone wants to get on a state ballot. Everyone has their own agenda. You know what? You can still have your own, but let's join a network of team players. I believe this is the best option we have today. And I think it's the only way we can win against these corrupt parties ruling this country. And we all know they're corrupt. We all know they're tyrants. We all know they're a-holes. They talk down, like I said earlier, they think we work for them. That's ridiculous. They work for us. If the people in Oregon realize that, they'd be doing something different. They'd get these minor parties going and say, bullshit, you guys are out.
Save our state.
Yep, yeah. Save our state. We can even unite under a banner called Save Our United States of America through all these minor parties. Jack?
You know what happens with that? Now, this has been done on a smaller scale in history. There was a book written about it, and it was one of the best books I've ever read. It was called Team of Rivals. And what happened was, this team of rivals were candidates running for president. And when this guy won president, he brought all of his adversaries together and put them in his cabinet. You know who that was?
Who?
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln did that.
And a lot of people didn't think that was going to work.
And I tell you what, that team of rivals were so dedicated. Not one of them liked Lincoln. They thought he was a fool. Same thing like us. It's a pipe dream. This is not, so he was right from the beginning. You're running for president? Well, you did one term as a representative from Illinois. He ended up being president. He ended up bringing all of these people that ran with him. And let me tell you something. These guys would have ran through a brick wall for Lincoln by the time they were done. The senator from New York was his Secretary of State. Almost got killed the same night he did. And was destroyed that Lincoln had gotten killed. And this is the same concept but it's a huge blanket. It's the United States. You get everybody together and we start making order. And we start making it just as hard for these Democrats and Republicans to run as it is for us. Well, the playing field gets even. And you want to know who the winner is?
We the people.
Right, exactly.
Imagine if you had an independent president, an independent vice president, but you had a Republican or Democrat Secretary of State. You had a Republican or Democrat Chief of Staff. And then everybody in your cabinet was Republican, Democrat, or Independent.
How about this?
That's bringing people together.
Yeah, I mean, how about this? Having the staff that stays there, candidate after candidate after candidate, works for the candidate because they know they're working for the people of that state. It's so corrupt. It's all the way down to the people that are working for our politicians.
Minor parties helping minor parties. What a great concept.
You know what it's called? Americans helping Americans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Americans fed up with politicians and parties. This is something we need to do and must. You know what? I'm going to start reaching out to minor parties here in the next couple of days. Right here in South Carolina. To get a feel for what's happening in South Carolina. And I'll reach out to other states too. It's got to find. I got to write something up and bring these thoughts to him. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll tell you what, I would stop calling them politicians because I don't think these guys want to be politicians anymore. They want this job for life, and some of them have had it for life.
So what do you want to call them?
Tyrants, like you've been calling them.
That's who they are. They are tyrants.
Jack, what are your thoughts?
Elected tyrants.
Me?
Yeah.
I agree with you guys.
Yeah, right.
What are your thoughts?
I kind of said it. I believe this is the way. This is the way of the future for free America. If you are tired of what's representing you now,
And I'm sure
again, we've been saying it. It's part of our platform. It's part of everything me and Dennis has been saying. Listen to your neighbor. Listen to your coworker. And even if you don't agree with them, talk with them.
Get out of your damn house.
Maybe they do have a better idea than you do. Maybe you have a better idea that they didn't know. But if you started talking to these people around you,
You know a lot more.
and let me tell you something. I'm not a religious guy. That's my brother. But you want to know something? Before you start doing stuff, maybe ask for guidance
Pray always.
in whatever way you do it. But if the United States want to stay the free United States,
We're the only ones to take it back, to win it back, to make it happen that way.
yeah. Because the two parties that are running this country are too far gone.
And they don't want you to talk to
No.
your neighbor.
No, they
They're
don't.
trying to do anything possible to stop you from doing it.
They are stopping every family thing there is. Church, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, team sport. Why do you think they're letting transgenders start to get into sports? Because now when the parents go there, instead of talking about what they get along with, they're divided. Why do you think these things don't just happen organically? They're seeds planted. So what me and Dennis always said, go to a family picnic, go to your kids' sporting events. These organizations are going way away. Why do you think teams aren't allowed to have a winner and loser anymore? You can't have heartfelt speeches to your kids to get them ready for the game. Now all of a sudden your daughters are competing against boys, and it's okay. So now when you go to that event,
That's not okay.
you're not happy anymore. You're not there talking with your neighbors about things that you should be talking about. You're talking about...
If you're born a male, you should play in male sports. If you're born a female, you should play in female sports.
Yeah, and if you're not
That's
good
it.
enough as a
End of
male to
discussion.
play in that sport,
Don't
find
play.
something else.
I agree with that.
Everybody's given a gift. Go
Yeah,
find what
that's
your
right.
gift is.
I totally agree.
I know a lot of people, like the black community says they don't, a lot of them don't like guns and stuff like that. But they all carry them.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know. I mean, again,
I was talking to a lady at work today. Great person. And she started talking about guns. And she goes, what do you carry? And I told her what we carry. And she goes, yeah. I go, why? You got your CWP? She goes, yep. She goes, I go out shooting all the time.
Yeah.
She told me the gun she has.
You want to know why?
This is an older black American.
They're not different than us.
They're not.
And
They
as
want the
much as the
same things we
politicians
do.
want to tell you that they're different than you,
Shut them down right
again,
away.
Martin Luther King scared politicians back then because he was pointing out, no. I don't want you to judge me by the color of my skin. I want you to judge me by the content of my character. And they were like, "Oh, we are in trouble."
Imagine if people really believe that today.
I'll tell you what.
I think the common people do. I don't think anybody in elected official does. And if they do, they're not allowed to say it.
I think that the black people have been lied to longer than we have.
Listen, I watched a thing on, believe it or not, I'm sorry to admit this, but it was a little clip on YouTube. It was Dr. Phil. And there was a...
I'm
Did
out.
you see that? No. So he had
Dr. Phil.
He had a professor. He was a black guy. And he said, listen, because he changed this young girl who was thinking, the United States was racist and all of this. And he said, the black community did its best when the white community was at its worst. He goes, you look at when they had separate restaurants and this and that. He goes, who do you think ran those restaurants that the black people loved? Black people did. And they were successful. And they had hotels. And they had whole parts of neighborhoods. He goes, and when both communities get together, everybody does great. They're selling you that you can't take it. There has been times when there was discriminations against black people. You know what they did? They succeeded. They opened their own businesses that they needed. So,
But now they're told they can't.
everybody's told they can't.
Yep, everyone.
I don't care what you
all
are.
the same.
You
now.
can't if you're white. You can't if you're black. You can't if you're Asian. You better not if you're
You can
Asian.
if you're male, you can if you're female, you can't.
You just can't. And
You're
they have these
told-
kids in
you're
school
told
hating
you
each
can't.
other.
Yep.
And then they wonder why there's mass shootings in school. Well, stop teaching these kids to hate each other.
Yep.
You know?
Because I tell you what, you didn't have mass shootings when I went to school.
Had none. When I went to
No.
school.
Because I wasn't taught to hate this person because of whoever they were.
People
And myself
you know what?
because of
People
where I
had-
come from.
People had shotguns in the back of their and rifles in the back of your cars going to school because they went hunting after. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
everybody got along. You know. So we're just about to end up here. Got any last words?
Just one. Got a buddy of mine. His name is Roger. We got to get him on this show. He sent me a little thing about with a Russian immigrant. I think he's a famous guy. I think he's actually a comedian. Saying how in Russia, this is how it happened to them. Where when you were out in public and these outrageous things like transgenders playing in female sports when you're a male. And he said the way Russia won was you weren't allowed to talk about that. You were not allowed to talk about in public what you felt in private. Because if you did, they would destroy you. And the reason why they had to destroy you was because they couldn't destroy the topic. Because the topic was right. So they destroyed the person. And that's what's going on right now. You're not allowed to speak as an American about how you feel inside your home, outside your home, or they will destroy you.
Well, talk outside your home what you feel.
And by the way, the communist way of thinking didn't start in Russia. They were the biggest first ones to do it. But all the theories and all the schooling came from Germany.
Yep. So winning back our country will take hard work and determination. These major parties will put up a hell of a fight. But the time is now to put an end to their gaslighting of we the people.
Well, it's still legal.
We need patriots that want to lead from the front. Get in touch with us. Got the website back here. Text me. I'm Dennis. 843-315-5273. And let's get America back to being a strong country. A country where all Americans come first, not illegal immigrants. Mike, can you lead us in prayer?
Yeah, I got something for Father's Day because it's Father's Day Sunday. I have about 3 verses and a few opinions and then a prayer. Is that okay?
We'll see.
Hey, it's your show right now.
Okay. Proverbs 3:12. For whom the Lord loved, he correcteth. Even the father, the son in whom he delighted. Deuteronomy 6:7. And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy home, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. 2 Timothy 3:10. But thou hast fully known my doctrine, manner of life, purpose, faith, long-suffering, charity, and patience. Dads, your child should know this about you. Dads, it would be a blessing to be able to say to our children, do as I do, instead of do as I say, not as I do. Dads, spend quantity time with your children. Teach, train, let them learn, let them see. Dads, pray with your children and for your children. Dads, start family devotions. Start once a week. Tell your children your testimony, how you came to know Jesus Christ. Come with your Bible. Show them your faith in the Gospels. Read the Bible together. Dads, take your children to church. If you can't find one, look online for a Bible-believing service and watch it together. Dads, someone will raise our children. God said it ought to be us. Let's pray.
Amen to that.
Dear Lord, our Father bothers to lovingly tell a child that they have done wrong. Lord Father, most people don't know the child well enough or care enough to take the responsibility that comes with correction. Thank you, Lord Father, for caring enough about us to tell us when we're heading in the wrong direction. Even when we've gotten into a real mess and ignored your warnings, you still pull us up, take us back to the place where we went wrong, and start us on a new path. We are grateful for your love, even when the correction is painful. Thank you for being a loving Father to us. We pray this in Jesus' precious name. Amen.
Amen.
Have a happy and safe Father's Day.
Excellent job, man.
Happy Father's Day. That was really good, Mike. I like that. So everyone, start reading, preferably the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. But do some research online about how these politicians are screwing up this great country. Then you'll realize that now how much knowledge is power. Thank you for joining us. And as Mike said, have a happy Father's Day. Hope you reach out to us and become actively involved. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Good job.